What's going on, guys? It's Alex here with TFL Bike, and today we're looking at this, the 2021 Honda CBR600RR. We're going to take it for a ride, go through all the features. Let's jump right in. The CBR600RR is obviously Honda's 600. It's their middleweight super sport, and it is powered by a 599cc inline four. That's actually really hard to see through that fairing and all the plastics that are covering it up on this bike. This CBR600RR sits in kind of a weird spot. The 600 class is definitely dying. Yamaha just killed off their 600, the R6. The Gixxer 600 hasn't been updated in years. And this Honda has a funky story to it too. For 2021, the CBR600 was revised, got a TFT Dash, got some engine improvements, and got a new look to match the new 1000RR. But we don't get that here in the States. There's no 600 anymore in Europe. The new 600 only comes to Japan, and we're still getting the old one here in the States. So a little bit of a funky story, but you still can buy one from Honda at least. I'm hoping that the new one makes it to the States pretty soon. I'm thinking it's a price thing though. It's just an expensive bike, and people in the States aren't buying these anymore, so it's pretty hard to drop tons of cash on an all-new model. All right, here we go, guys, on the 2021 Honda CBR600RR, the middleweight super sport from Honda. Clearly, I'm in a full tucked race position right now. This is a race bike after all, but that means this is the ideal spot to be riding this bike. Is nice mountain road here in California. Exactly what you want. This inline four is extremely smooth, and if you've ever ridden a 600, you know that the power band's interesting. They kind of have two different personalities. Under 7,000 RPM. It's a really tame bike. You can ride it around town. Doesn't accelerate too hard, but then you get it up to 8,000–9,000 RPM and it really starts to take off. I really like the transmission on this. The shifter just feels so direct and clicky, and the clutch has a really stiff pull to it too, which I'm a big fan of. It's so easy to carve these turns when you're tucked in like this. It just takes absolutely no effort. It's really a ton of fun. But the downside to this position is that you can't last too long. I'm about 40 minutes into this ride right now, and already I am starting to feel it in my wrist and my back. So it's the kind of bike you need to take pretty frequent stops on. You know, pull over, get some food, get a drink, because otherwise you're going to be aching for a long time. Here's an idea of what I look like on the bike. I'll flash the specs for the seat height and the weight up on the screen right now. I'm about 5'10", and yeah, this is a really small motorcycle. You're definitely super hunched over in it. You can slide your butt back and really tuck into the windscreen here. The pegs are really, really high up, so if you're really any taller than me, you might have some issues with your elbows bumping into your knees, especially when you're leaning the bike over and really getting your elbow and your knee out. So yeah, super tight riding position. That makes for some really good turning and leaning characteristics. Super fun to ride a super sport like this, but definitely not comfortable for long rides. I really enjoy 600s. They're super small, lightweight, nimble, and they turn in like nothing else. But I do think there's a good reason people aren't really buying 600s anymore. Most people have realized that they're really not comfortable, and unless you're taking it on a racetrack, there's not really a good use for it, because there are so many other choices now of naked sport bikes and cruisers that just have really powerful sporty motors in them, that if you're using this as a street bike, it really just doesn't make all that much sense anymore. Also, I think part of the reason that people aren't buying these is because there's been an explosion in mini bikes and adventure bikes. People want to go explore. People have realized you don't need a ton of displacement to have fun. But that's not to say that this bike isn't a hoot. I had a ton of fun riding it up in the canyons. You just really need to get on the right road to have fun with this motorcycle. This is where the power band of a 600 gets really, really fun. Merging onto the highway. Yeah. These bikes scream. And there's nothing cooler than screaming down the road at 14,000 RPM. It's pretty cool. I really like how this bike looks. It has a good design to it. I love this paint scheme. It's much cooler in my opinion than the old matte black they used to do. I do think the new one looks much better with the LED squinty eye headlights. This one has some wider halogens, so the new one has a better look to it, the one they get in Japan. You do have some fake carbon bits up here on the side. They're just plastic and they look like carbon. I don't super mind that, but I know a lot of people definitely will not be a fan of that, so I wanted to mention it. You have some more of it around the exhaust, and I really like how this exhaust is designed. It spits out right here in the back, dead center of the bike between the taillight and the fender. I love that look. The new one that they get in Japan has a really nice TFT Dash. This one is looking a little dated. It's pretty cool that you can see it revs out to 17K. It's got that big tack, which is a classic thing for any sport bike really. But going into 2021, it would be really nice to see a more modern TFT Dash, maybe with a lap timer and some other features. This just looks a little dated, and the plastic surround on it is definitely looking out of date as well. You do get some nice premium features on the CBR600RR, so inverted show forks up front that are fully adjustable. In the rear, you have monoshock with a remote piggyback reservoir right there, so that is pretty cool. And then you have really, really grabby brakes. They're super beefy and they bring you down to a stop really well. These are some excellent brakes on this bike. And then also you have an electronic steering damper too, just to help with handling. This CBR600RR is available now for $11,899 if you want to pick one up. Big bummer that we don't get the new redesigned one in the States. That would make this a much more appealing package for me. But the 600 is a really interesting class, one that was super popular for years. It seemed like everybody who was into sport bikes needed to ride and own a 600 at some point, and that's just not the case anymore. But if you're a big fan of 600s, this might be one of your last chances to get one new from a dealership. So you might want to jump on it while the going's still good, because pretty soon we might not have any 600s to choose from, and revving a bike up that high in the RPM range is just super fun. It's something you can't beat. The noise it makes when it's screaming down the road is just awesome. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to head on over to tflbike.com so you don't miss any stories in the motorcycle world. Catch you in the next video.